let's move to the flip again, where we do fake debate and take polar opposite sides of a very nuanced article. Let's dive in. And this one we're going to talk about, is enterprise AI a bubble or the start of something big? All right, looks like I am debating the bubble
You're
side.
you're a bubble boy.
I am a bubble
Pat
boy.
Moorhead, AI bubble boy.
So, Daniel, I know you always refer to me as a boomer, but I'm actually Gen X. And I was in knee deep in the internet age and the internet growth. Not only was I part of the PC growth, believe it or not, back when I was doing PCs, only 50% of households in America had PCs. And then through Compaq, I think we got it to 75%. And then the internet hit, and I went to go work for an internet company, which was Alta Vista. It was a search engine that ultimately competed with this teeny tiny zero revenue company called Google. But let's reflect here. What is a bubble, right? I think a bubble is outweighed expectations of the value of a market. And I also think because it's called a bubble, that there's an idea that the bubble will burst. And if I look at the internet, what happened is there was a ton of capex that was invested on dark fiber. There was a lot of VC investment in companies that not only had business models that absolutely made no sense, uh, but also ones that were duplicative. Like you had, it was so frothy that you had VCs that were investing in the same type of company from the same VC. Okay, and then you spread that across the top 20 VCs. You had 40 different companies trying to do the same thing, whether it was delivering dog food, whether it was trying to sell electronics, whether it was selling knitting gear, whether it was a new type of video service or ripping off music through Napster. So, and what ended up happening is all that infrastructure was laid in there, and what happened is because the internet native companies were all buying stuff from each other, it essentially one started to collapse, and then they were unable to receive any orders from those internet companies. You had the Cisco's of the world, and even the L3 networking guys that had so much dark fiber that they had to ultimately end up giving it away for free or near free. WorldCom was a great example of that of that collapse, and I think that Cisco was as well. And again, in this fake debate, I think that we are in this frothy nature. We have capex that's being pulled into the hyperscalers, and we have literally almost no downstream benefit. We've got Google that's just really protecting what they do with search, and they've come up with a fancy way called AI overviews to display their data. You have Meta that I think probably is the best example, right? They've been able to tee up ads better. But when I look at the rest of downstream, we've seen no lift on smartphones, we've seen no lift on PCs, we've seen no lift on the industrial edge. We've literally seen no lift. We've seen a contraction of classic enterprise SaaS, like no lift whatsoever. And no, I don't count companies that have AI and are expanding by getting into new enterprise SaaS verticals and applications that really doesn't have anything to do with AI. Their stock. So yes, we are clearly in a bubble right now. But I do want to say bubbles aren't bad, right? If you didn't have a bubble, right, then there wouldn't be this crazy investment that every cycle needs, and then before the shakeout comes. So yeah, we're in a bubble, man.
Okay, bubble boy. Um, we have one of the largest and most massive build outs of the most productivity gaining and efficiency deriving technologies that the world has ever seen. Companies are going to be able to move more quickly. They're going to be able to scale production. They're going to drive more profitability. And they're going to be able to do so at every end of the spectrum because of this build out of AI. The numbers and the comparisons to the internet bubble are not only insane, but they're also classically stupid. The companies that are developing the build out of this AI boom have operating levels that are exponentially higher. They have balance sheets that are much stronger. They have the ability to make these investments over long periods of time, and they are able to wait and be patient to derive returns on these investments in a way that pets.com and others that succeeded in moments during the internet boom could not. We've seen the number. We have a $583 billion number of AI data center infrastructure that's going to be deployed by 2029. We've heard Jensen talk about over $4 trillion in total data center infrastructure spend by the end of the decade. These are sophisticated companies with smart people that are making decisions to spend this money for one reason: because they have to. If these companies are going to stay the course, be successful, make the turn, and deliver in the AI era, they have to build this infrastructure. This isn't a choice. This isn't something that, hey, this is the next metaverse or this is the next big thing that's going to fade away. This is the thing that's going to drive the global economic future of the entire world. There's a reason that China and the US are battling it out every day for access to GPUs. And it's not because this stuff is a bubble. It's because China absolutely knows that without the access to the best technology, the leading platforms from companies like NVIDIA, they will not be able to keep up. They will not be able to succeed. They will fall behind. That is not the type of behavior that takes place in a bubble. So it's easy to kind of look at certain edge cases. It's easy to look at the longer tail. It's easy to look at things that maybe you say the time from when something becomes an idea to implementation, that 95% MIT study saying all these AI projects are failing. They're failing because people can't change fast enough. They're changing because adaptation to these new technologies is actually quite hard. And they're failing because the systems that we built in the CPU era are not capable of doing what we need them to do in the AI era. That's not going to create a bubble. That's going to create an opportunity. You're going to see the biggest consulting companies, the ones that are able to pivot and deliver services on AI, they're going to grow at great scale. And it's going to come at the cost of traditional IT. It's going to come at the cost of traditional SaaS. We will see that bifurcation. We will see that split. But the 20 plus trillion dollars of economic growth that we are going to see because of what AI has been able to deliver and will be able to deliver by the end of this decade is not the definition of a bubble. This is not a bubble. Of course, there's outliers. Of course, there's edge cases. These are the most successful, most cash rich, operational leveraged companies on the planet investing big in the next big thing.
I mean, you had me on Jensen saying it's going to be $4 trillion. Literally, the guy who benefits from it the most. I mean, he has no reason to push that narrative, right?
No, it's all risk for him. I mean, frankly, at this level,
All right,
no, but at this level, I mean, debate over, right?
debate's over. Let's
At
talk
this
about how you
rate,
really think.
there is probably, people want the up and to the right forever thing. I mean, look, there's probably a good reason for there to be some cooling. And there's certainly companies that have benefited from AI that are not doing AI. Like that is true. And those are bubbly things that are happening when people are sort of trying to find second and third and fourth network effects. But there are the companies that are like the Mag 7s, the NVIDIAs, you know, autonomy and robot, like the things that AI is powering at scale, this stuff is happening. This is not gonna, and it's gonna happen quickly. It's a bubble in some pockets, but I think that's always the case. But it's not a bubble at scale.
Yeah. By the way, we are in a bubble, but that's good. But we're not going to have the big sell off because we're not talking about pets.com. These green shoots are amazing. I mean, man, I've got 5 agents running that I get weekly stuff done, and I did that in a weekend. I mean, and I'm just this crummy small business, and in a way, these larger companies have these data estates that takes longer to get out, but we might see some movement in enterprise SaaS. We might see people going to IaaS and building agents. And yeah, I do think we are in a bubble, but I don't think the shakeout is going to be nearly as big as the internet. So
Well, I think some of the startups, the things that got money early, the things that were sort of like, oh my gosh, you're doing something really cool, and then OpenAI or Google invented something that was better than it like 2 minutes later. Um, that definitely will burst. I mean, there was a lot of money chasing, but the infrastructure boom, I don't think that's a bubble at all. I mean, I think it's now again, depending how you define it, there's definitely a consumption gap from this stuff that's being done. But in some ways, I mean, I don't know what you've been reading, Pat, and you're more connected than anyone I know on the semis and the channel side of semis. But like, I'm still hearing that like they can't get all the compute they need. Like, I'm still hearing that. So even though the data center number came in 100 million under, and everybody was like lauding the miss, um, like I don't think it's a lack of demand. It's like shipping every freaking unit they can make in a time they can make it. Um, so by the way, networking is like the killer thing. Like, what a number.
yeah, it hasn't seen the growth that the compute has, and we've always talked about a balanced system of everything has to be hitting at the same time.